Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I have with me the Olympus 75 f1.8 lens. In this video, I want to talk about why this lens is so awesome for portrait photography. Let's do this! I have talked about this lens before. In that previous video, I talked about how awesome this Olympus 75 f1.8 lens is. I also talked about how this lens actually stopped me from going to full frame. I'll put the link to the video up here. Please check it out if you have not done so. I will not repeat what I've said in that video here. In this particular video, I want to look at this lens, revisiting it for portrait photography. Recently, when I was back home in Kuching, Borneo for the Chinese New Year festivities, we managed to do a model shooting session. We have the beautiful model Melanie, and I shot her with this Olympus 75 f1.8 on this Panasonic Lumix GX7. Before I talk about why this Olympus 75 f1.8 is such an awesome lens for shooting portraits, let's take a look at some of the photographs I've taken with this lens. There are many reasons why this Olympus 75 f1.8 is such an awesome lens for shooting portraits. Reason number one, flattering human proportions. The number one mistake that a lot of people do when it comes to shooting portraits is using wide-angle lens. Lenses like 28mm, 35mm, or even wider like 20, 24. Usually these lenses will create a lot of perspective distortion, meaning that you get bigger head and then the body, bigger nose, the head doesn't look flattering, and then we have elongated limbs or fatter arms. Proportions all look off. If you want natural looking rendering, if you want the proportions of the human limbs and the human body, the human head to body ratio to all look natural and pleasing, it is best to use a longer focal length. Anything from 85mm equivalent or longer, say like this Olympus 75 f1.8, it gives you 150mm, that's telephoto lens. It'll definitely create a more flattering look. All the proportions look natural and pleasing. Reason number two why I love this lens for shooting portraits is background compression. This lens is actually a telephoto lens. It gives an equivalent of 150mm in 35mm full frame format. That is actually a very long lens. You can easily isolate your subject. You can have a very tight, compressed background. This is ideal, especially if you're dealing with a lot of distractions in a messy background. You have less background to frame using such a long lens. You can easily isolate your subject and not include a lot of the messiness in the background within your frame. Add to that, this lens also have wide open aperture at f1.8. You can easily render shallow depth of field to blur all this messiness in the background to oblivion. That's why if you want a portrait that looks really flattering, really beautiful and professional, I'll definitely highly recommend this Olympus 75 f1.8. Reason number three beautiful bokeh. I personally believe that this Olympus 75 f1.8 lens, it renders one of the most beautiful looking bokeh of all Micro Four Thirds lenses. I just love how the bokeh looks. On top of the shallow depth of field, the super blur background, you get the high quality looking bokeh. It looks pleasing, it looks very creamy and smooth. There's no hint of nervousness or harshness. It just looks so beautiful. It adds a lot to the dreamy quality when you're shooting portraits. And I also love how this bokeh actually contributes to the 3D pop and the realistic rendering of the portrait images. You have a super sharp background and nice, beautiful, creamy, blurry looking bokeh in the background. The images just immediately jumps out. It pops. It's just something so organic, so pleasing. Look at the portraits rendered by this lens. Reason number 4 why this is an awesome lens for shooting portraits is the incredible lens sharpness. I personally believe that this Olympus 75 f1.8 is one of the sharpest lenses for Micro Four Thirds system. It may be in the top 3, if not in the top 5 sharpest lenses of all Micro Four Thirds lenses. And the lens is not just sharp, but it can render a lot of fine details, very, very good contrast. Images just immediately pop. There's a sense of realism when you look at the images rendered from this lens. The sharpness is just incredible. Finally, reason number 5 why I love using the Olympus 75 f1.8 for shooting portraits is the small size and weight. For such a compact lens, you get an equivalent 150mm in focal length. This is a true telephoto lens. You can do so much with this lens if you need that long focal length. Of course, this lens also has bright open aperture f1.8 for such a long lens with bright aperture, and yet Olympus can make it in such a compact form factor. It is just simply amazing. If you know me, you know that I love using small lenses, and pairing this on this Panasonic GS7, it has been such a joy to use. I have no issue whatsoever when it comes to handling the lens. This may not be the most compact, pancake or tiny lenses out there for Micro Four Thirds, but it is still such a joy to use, and I have no issue whatsoever balancing this on this GX7. The Olympus 75 f1.8 is an excellent example of what a great Micro Four Thirds product should be. It is so compact in design, yet it delivers fantastic results. It delivers sharp images, beautiful bokeh, natural, realistic, organic rendering of human portraits. I think that is one of the best lenses for portrait photography if you are in the Micro Four Thirds camp. However, do bear in mind that this is a long telephoto lens. It is 150mm in equivalent, meaning that you do need enough space and distance to work with between you and the subject you are shooting. So if you're in a tight space, you don't have enough distance between you and the subject, maybe you can consider a wider lens like the Olympus 45 f1.8 or 25 f1.8. But if you do have the distance, if you're in an outdoor location, you can stand further away from your subject, this Olympus 75 f1.8 definitely can do some magic. That's all I have to share about this Olympus 75 f1.8 and why I love it so much for shooting portraits. Do you agree with my argument? Do share your thoughts in the comments below and share your experience if you have used this lens for shooting portraits. I would love to hear from you. If you found my sharing beneficial, if you've enjoyed looking at my portrait photographs taken from this lens, do consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how you can do that. Any small contribution goes a long way. It will definitely help me to continue making more content. Until next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.